Hello, this is Mrs. McCabe. I'm English pre-AP ninth teacher at Classical High School, and this is room 237. My purpose for creating this video is to introduce parents and families to my classroom environment. I'm sitting in room 237 as I record this video, and hopefully you can see in the background here something about the layout of the classroom. Um, I have stations of desks. That would be where students would sit forward to a desk in a workplace when they're doing their projects or group work. And behind the desk, at the way back of the wall, there's a long bulletin board. On the far left of the bulletin board, you can see a poster, and that is a posted rubric. I always in my classroom have rubrics posted, and I also have instructions about how to interpret the rubric with the rubric. Next to the rubric on the right, the long part of the note bulletin board contains notes. And what that is anything that is relevant to our study at that time. I might put a definition of word. I might post an illustration, something that we can refer to regularly throughout the lesson to help clarify points in the lesson. So that is the immediate back of the back of the classroom. And over here on the further part of the back of the classroom, you can see I have more bulletin boards. I also have a workstation. So if students have to work individually, there's a place where they can go. And if they're pacing themselves and they need time to work on one part of the lesson individually, they can sit at that workstation. Next to the workstation is a bookcase, and the bookcase is for students to put their folders. That would be if you wanted to store anything in the classroom, that's the student storage area, so that they have their notebooks there readily available whenever they need them. Next to that is a file cabinet that contains all our art supplies. So if we're working on a project and we need highlighting markers, or we need poster paper, or we need any type of crayons or drawing or coloring devices, it's all in that file cabinet. And we do a lot of creative project work, so that file cabinet gets a lot of use. Also, below the bulletin board and over by the file cabinet are outlets. There's a number of different outlet posts all throughout the room. So if students need to charge their Chromebooks, which are issued by the school department, each student has a workable Chromebook issued by the school department. They can plug the Chromebooks in there to charge them. Another part of the lesson, another part of the video that I want to get into right now is this is a master lesson plan for the Martin classroom. And I want to explain to you briefly what the Martin classroom is. And I thought the best way to illustrate it would be to share a lesson with you. This was a lesson developed to have the students work on interpreting a poem. The poem here is A Charge of the Light Brigade. You'll see that it's called the pacing tracker. And what that does is it shows students what tasks are involved in completing this lesson. And there's three types of tasks. One is must do. The second is a should do. And the third is aspire to do. And I'll get into that in a moment. Below that, you see the lesson sequence. And there's a clear description of the lesson objective or lesson goal. And what it is at the completion of the unit of study, the student should be able to describe the literary devices used in the Charge of the Light Brigade, and they should also be able to describe the author's purpose. The author's purpose in this poem is very important because the poem fits into a certain time frame, and the poet's purpose was to make sure that we honor the Light Brigade. So we have the learning objectives stated clearly, and then we have a list of the materials and notes that I will use with the students. It's imperative in the Martin classroom to have the instructional videos. The instructional videos are like this video, which are developed to clarify our purpose. And for example, my purpose here is to help you understand what our modern classroom layout is. And the purpose of the instructional videos the students would look at during the Charge the Light Brigade would be to give them clear instructions about what they're going to be doing in their groups when they're sitting there performing different tasks. So I have the Charge of the Light Brigade slideshow. I have the Charge of the Light Brigade author's purpose video. The author's purpose video is interesting because, as I said, Alfred Lloyd Tennyson wrote this poem specifically during a specific time period in history to emphasize the importance of the military action that was taken at that time, and to appreciate a poem written so that people appreciate the valor of the soldiers involved in the Light Brigade's action. Here, the second thing I have them do is after they have watched the video about the author's purpose, and then taken over here under mastery checks, they do a do now mastery check. And that do not now mastery check is it asks a question about if you were in the Army and the commanding officer gave you a wrong order, what would you do? Would you obey the order? Would you ask the commanding officer questions, or would you outright refuse to obey the order? So the students answer that question, and that's part of their mastery check. Because after learning about the author's purpose in the Charge of the Light Brigade, it might change your perspective, or it might better inform their perspective. So the mastery check is to see what they've taken away from their search of the author's purpose with the Charge of the Light Brigade. The next thing they do is they watch a video about annotating the poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade. And the annotation would be that they take the poem and they look at the different literary devices the author used to make the poem impactful. And they will have a list of literary devices, they'll have a copy of the poem, and they'll have access to the internet. So they can actually go on the internet and go for it, And it's funny because you think that you've gotten a comprehensive list of all the different devices used if you look at one site, but actually if you go to several sites, you'll find that there was something not mentioned that you wanted clarification with. So the kids will come together in their group and share out what they found in their search for annotations of the Charge of the Light Brigade. And one of the final products they produce is an annotated copy of the Charge of the Light Brigade. And then they get to take an open book assessment, a mastery assessment, and it's a 40-question quiz about the purpose of the poet in writing the Charge of the Light Brigade, the structure of the poem, and the literary devices used by the poet in the poem. And so they take that 40-question quiz, and the whole point of Modern Classroom is to have students be able to work to mastery. In other words, students can pace themselves. So if some students take more time, some students speed through it, fine. But in the end, they all take the same mastery test. And if they find that they didn't do well the first time, they're able to retake the test until they get the grade they like. So the mastery test is designed to allow the students time and opportunity to do very well with the lesson. And so those are the two major mastery checks that occur with this lesson. The other thing is we had the must do, which include watching the videos and completing the worksheets. Then we have should do. And should do's would be spot checks, and we have a tracking your progress. It's called a progress tracker sheet. And you use that to go, yes, I did that. Yes, I did that. Yes, I've done this. Yes, I've done this. So they can see how they're moving through the lesson. I do want to mention also that there are differentiated versions of the materials. So if somebody's having a hard time not only will I be there as a resource to help them, and not only will their fellow students be there as resources to help them, but also I have simplified versions. So maybe if they're not understanding what the question is, how the question is, the questions are reframed so that they can look at the lesson with different wording, and that way they might find the lesson more accessible. So I do have diversified versions of the lesson. So this was what they call the this is what we call the lesson sequence, and we've seen all the different parts of a modern classroom unit lesson sequence tracker. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is really quickly is that this was a slideshow that went along with the lesson. So there's all kinds of materials that I developed, and I try to make them colorful and interesting so the students are engaged with learning. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is leave the lessons portion of this, and I want to show you a little bit more of the classroom. Not only did I showed you the back of the classroom. Now I'm going to show you, as you enter the classroom, there is my desk. That's my teacher's workstation pod. And the kids come in, I'm there greeting them as they enter, and I take their attendance. And then as they go into their group seating, they look at the board and they can see I always on the board have a day-by-day breakdown of what the lessons are. If they had been absent for a day, right there near the teacher's desk, there's a file folder which is color-coded and has clearly labeled lessons for each day. So if they were absent, they can get a copy of the missed work, a hard copy of the missed work, and catch up. And so then we go over here, and what we have is, as the students sit down, they look up at the smart board, and they see that I have the Google Classroom posted with the assignment, and so they can immediately engage in the class, and they have the expectation of knowing what they are, the clear expectation of what the work is going to be today. If you see here with Google Classroom that I can stream announcements to the class on a daily basis. I can also post that weekly schedule. I can, under classwork, I post chronologically in sequence, post the lessons as we go through them. So again, if a student had been absent, or if they're not up with, they're not with the class and the pacing, they can go back and take their own time, slowly getting through the information that is clearly available to them in that classwork posting. The other thing I have is the people, and I can contact parents and send emails and communications to you, and you can write to me through that link of the people in posting in the Google Classroom platform. And finally, I can also post some of my grades there in on the platform. So the class all belongs from day one to this Google Classroom platform, which is my landing place for all of our lessons and material. We can see here, I have this was from the end of the year. The students did epithets and epic similes for the Odyssey, and I posted their work. And then I can take this movable board and bring it in the hallway, and they can do gallery walks so they can look at each other's work, and they can also give this other students feedback. So I think I have covered most of the basic information about what is the modern classroom and how am I going to utilize it this year with the 9th grade classes. And I hope to see you at parent-teacher conferences in the immediate future. Thank you.